Hello, everyone. Glad to see you back here at Silver Tears Tarot, and a warm welcome to those who are joining for the first time. I got a little feedback after my last pick a card reading. So it was really two things. First, that the Soulmate series is why people are tuning in. And if the requests are any indication, they are not alone. So I will keep posting videos for you if you're part of that group. And the other thing, people wanted to hear more about what was going on with their person and where they were on their path. And of course, it makes sense. A lot of you are in separation. The ones who aren't don't seem to be in good communication. I'm getting a lot of that. So we're going to take a look at that today. We'll take a look at how they're doing, if there are any big struggles for them, how they're thinking, how they're feeling about you right now. We'll also ask what's coming up for you. And of course, as you know, these are general readings, so they may not resonate with everybody, but the pick-a-pile is nice because you can pick the best reading for you. And of course, if you enjoy the videos, please be sure to like and share and subscribe so you'll be able to stick with me. And I really want to thank those people who have subscribed and are liking these videos. Everything you do brings it to more people, and I'm really grateful for that. I'm still reading for a relatively small crowd, but I feel like we're pulling the tribe together a little bit as I feel the energy of this collective just sort of bunch up and sort of get more consistent. So that's what it's like for me anyway. I'll always be interested to see how it is for you. I do have the comments turned off on the YouTube videos because it's just too much extra to manage. But you guys have still been reaching out on email, Instagram, even on Facebook. So information on how to do that is below. So it's time to pick out your pile. Each one has a pointer today. There's pile 1 with the rose quartz, pile 2 with the clear quartz, and pile 3 with the citrine. And don't overthink it. Just breathe a little bit. Let yourself drift toward one of the piles. Watch more than one if you're drawn to more than one. Pause if you have to. So if you chose pile 1, it's going to be coming right up. For pile 2 or 3, check out the linked timestamps down below. So pick your pile and let's get started. Okay, so for pile 1, let's take a look at what is happening with your person. So this was the pile with the rose quartz. This is a really neat looking one. And I'm going to be reading for you today from the Mystic Mondays Tarot and then clarifying with the Constellation Tarot. So we're looking at what is happening with your person. It's sort of a follow-up to the last pick a card, which was a lovers in separation reading. But if you didn't catch that one, maybe that's something you want to go back and catch. Otherwise, this is sort of this is a request from the same people, and it's sort of in that same vein. So the first thing that we're going to look at is sort of the current energy that's happening with this person. So the current energy that's happening with this person, and we know that things may not be quite right with you guys. You might not be having the communication right now. A lot of you are in separation. And so this is kind of us having a look in on your person to see how things are going. So we have a single card. We have the King of Wands in reverse. Okay. So the King of Wands in reverse. And this one, this is kind of an interesting and a little bit complex energy that's happening with this. So the King of Wands can be a little bit, I guess, arrogant and feel like he's right about something. So there may be something here about that. We'll see what happens when we clarify. That's kind of the first thing that comes off of this card. Somebody feels like they're right about something. Let's kind of look at the current energies that are with them about you. Okay, right away we have the Four of Swords in reverse. And so this is a card of not having healed yet, really. Again, we'll take a closer look at it here in a bit. But that's kind of what that sounds about right. So it feels like this is a person that hasn't quite healed about you yet. Maybe they're still feeling a little bit defensive about it. Let's see how they're feeling about you. Let's get one card for how they're feeling about you. All right, we're just going to take this top card. When I have multiple cards come out and turn over, I usually just take the top card unless I'm drawn to take more than one. And here we have the Princess of Pentacles. So this is a little bit like the Page of Pentacles. It is a learning card. This is somebody who is very much still kind of in that developing phase. And so here is the feeling that I'm getting off of this card. And again, we'll see what happens when I clarify. But what I'm feeling here is there's a person who felt like they have a lot to learn from you and maybe weren't quite ready for what they found when they found you. And now we see that there is a separation, or there's might as well be a separation, and they're feeling like a little bit defensive about things. So let's check into how they feel about the relationship between the two of you. So here has kind of been their general energy. This is the current energies with regard to you. Here's how they're feeling about you. And now here's how they feel about this union between the two of you, or the relationship between the two of you. And we have the High Priestess in reverse. So the High Priestess in reverse, there's the cat's out of the bag. Something has been learned. Sometimes what the High Priestess means is it's about keeping secrets, and in this case, it's about a secret being out, but it's not really a secret like it's somebody's secret. It's more that they now understand something. It's like almost an Ace of Swords kind of feel, but in a very major arcana sort of way. So this is kind of a big deal. That they've discovered something. Let's learn a little bit more about what it is that they're discovering there. And also want to understand what they're struggling with. So there's a struggle here. I can feel that. I can feel that from very much from the first card. That kind of was intense. But what does that struggle look like? And this is more than one card, so I won't take it. They're struggling with something. What is it that's really kind of getting in their way? And it's with regard to this situation here, where they're feeling a little bit defensive. They have not yet healed completely from what's happened between the two of you, which sounds like or feels like it has a lot to do with what has this information that's come out. And of course, them feeling like they are, I don't want to use the term inferior because that's not quite the right word for the job. It's like they feel they're not quite up to your level is what they feel like. So what is their obstacle here with regard to you? And we can tell from the rest of the cards on the table that there is an obstacle. We can't necessarily tell all of the details about it. And we have the Six of Wands. Okay, so here's somebody who really wants to win, and it isn't the easy win that they want. They want to know that they've done things right across their lives, and they were done for the right reasons. So that's an interesting sort of feeling. It's not necessarily what I expected to come out there. And I guess, you know, when we're looking at something where it's making them feel this defensive, they may feel like, especially with this feeling like they're not quite up to par, feeling like they're not quite ready for this, they're not quite on your level. They are worried that they're not going to be able to have this success, and this is something that's really sticking with them. We notice that these cards often play off of one another, and this lack of healing is really playing off this fear of well, so it's interesting. The complex thing is that there's a fear of failure, of things not working here. This is a person who really wants to win, but there's also a fear of success. And that plays off of this need to heal. So let's look to see what is likely to happen for you in the near future. And of course, this isn't necessarily the big ultimate outcome so much as what's up next for you. What can you expect from this person? And here we have the Princess of Cups. So that's communication. That's like a Page of Cups in the traditional deck. And so let's learn a little bit more about that communication because it's not really a big communication, it's a small one. So let's go ahead and, like I said, we're going to clarify with the Constellation Tarot. And fun piece of trivia, this was like one of my very first decks. The very first ones, I ordered them, and this was it. This was the first one. So, all right, to clarify the King of Wands in reverse, we have the Libra card, which is like justice, and you can see the scales. Hold it up, and you'll be able to hopefully see it a little bit better. But the scales of Libra. So this is about balance, and it's about seeking balance. And this person is feeling a little defensive about things, but what they really are seeking is that balance, and within themselves, they want to feel good about themselves. Also, we have Centaurus, which is like the Hierophant in the traditional deck. And so this feeling here is about them trying to be able to stand up straight and feel right about things and feel like they've done things right, but they kind of don't feel like they've done things right. So they're really pushing against something here, to get that sort of feeling. And so then looking here, to see it, this thing that they're not healed about, I feel like that's very much related. So let's see, we have the Two of Wands in reverse. Let's see what comes out for that. Additionally, the Four of Wands in the upright. Okay, so this is about not healing and feeling like they don't know what to do next, but they would like for things to be stable, and stability is what they keep trying to sort of gravitate back towards. This is a person who, again, we see this strong need for balance. They have a desire for, even tradition comes off of that Centaurus card. And then here, they're not healed. They're feeling like things got crazy and they never got healed from that. So they're still seeking out this balance that they want here, that they constantly wanted. They thought that they might be able to find that with you, but for whatever reason, and it feels a little bit like almost a self-sabotagey reason, they have not been able to find that and they aren't sure how to get to it. So this Two of Wands is really about it's about covering emotional distance. Sometimes Two of Wands is about travel, and in this case, it's like I said, covering emotional distance. But this because it's reversed, it's them not being able to do it, and that's part of what is coming out here. So they've got some healing that they don't know how to get to, but they desperately want to have done so they can feel more balanced and feel better about things. So let's take a look at this Princess of Pentacles and just kind of see what we've got here. We've got the Ten of Pentacles. Okay. So the Princess of Pentacles, remember, was that learning card, and the Ten of Pentacles then they're learning, and feeling like they haven't quite been able to measure up to you, or they're not as far along as you, but they feel like you are the key to their Ten of Pentacles. And so let me sort of separate these out a little bit so that we can see the cards that are underneath them a little bit better. I changed my setup a little bit so that we would be able to do that. So we would actually be able to see the cards that are underneath a little bit better, because I think sometimes the artwork gets lost. But so coming back to this Princess of Pentacles, here is a person who, again, doesn't feel like they're quite ready to measure up to you, but does feel like you are the key to their overall happiness. And there's also, you have far too much power in their world. So here's a person who also recognizes, you know, your decision could really create some regrets for them. Like maybe they would regret having gone as far as they did and allowing this to happen. And so this is part of the crux here that's getting at this obstacle. And it has a lot to do with them feeling like they need to end things before those things even begin. So let's look at this High Priestess too and get a feel for what it is that Remember, the high priestess was, what did you learn? They learned, that, well, first off, things are not easy. It's not so they've looked at relationships in the past, and they've seen people who were obviously, supposed to be together, but it just looked effortless. And so they have discovered that this is actually a lot of work. So they're saying, okay, I know I'm supposed to be with this person, but my goodness, this is an awful lot of work. Doesn't feel right. I didn't think it was supposed to be like that. Okay, so we're also getting the moon in reverse, which is kind of some of that mystery being stripped away. And that fits right along with the high priestess. I was feeling a little bit of the moon in the high priestess um, when that card first came out. And so the moon in reverse is that stripping away of mystery. You can no longer have those illusions again, and that's part of what this person learned was just they consider you to be farther advanced, and they thought it would be easier than it is. So here's a person that we know really wants to win. They're afraid they're not going to be able to win because this healing is not done. That's kind of a big piece for them. Let's get a little bit of clarity here on the 6 of Wands. And so we know this has that edge to it of needing to win. So that's kind of an interesting thing that doesn't always come off of this 6 of Wands. All right, so we have the 6 of Wands here repeated. Well, they really need to win. But I still get, and I don't always get this one off of this 6 of Wands either. I still get this sense that that they're afraid to win as much as they're afraid not to. So this is a person who's afraid to fail, but just as afraid to succeed. And so because they're still working on self-trust. So here's a person who is still working on self-trust. They have a hard time trusting other people because honestly, they're still working on that piece for themselves. If you are having a hard time trusting yourself, you are definitely going to have a hard time even having that trust emotion for other people. But it still looks like they are wanting to communicate. They're wanting to improve communication. So let's understand what's happening and why the Princess of Cups is there. Tell us about this communication that looks like it's still coming in. Okay, so this is it's serious, but it's the equivalent of the High Priestess in this deck, and so this one is about. It's not about secrecy. So this high priestess was about secrets coming out, like the cat's out of the bag. They figured out that things were harder than they thought it was going to be, or whatever. But over here, this one, it isn't about secrecy. It's about intuition. Sometimes the high priestess is about intuition, and that's the case here. They feel like they have to call you, like it's just part of what has to happen here. So let's see another card on this one. Okay, Cetus. And so you see this one, Cetus, and he's a sea monster, and it's like the equivalent of the devil in this deck. So they have to call you. They have to get in touch. They're being very much drawn back toward you. And it has a lot to do with this healing not being done. So this is a very uncomfortable situation for your person. If this is your person, they're very uncomfortable because they haven't yet healed, and they are feeling defensive, like trying to decide whose fault this is anyway. They have a hard time getting between here and there from an emotional standpoint, which we see here in this card. Because, they're feeling like you're farther advanced than they are, and yet you're the answer to success. They want to let go and go with you, but they also feel like that would be giving you too much control and too much. There's a little bit of an edge over here that says they want to maintain that control as well. That helps them to maintain that sense of balance. And we can see throughout how important that is to them. And yet, unbelievably, they've got this unbelievably tight, difficult situation because they feel like they need to move away. They need to get away from something because they don't trust themselves here. They feel like they need to win, but they're terrified to win. If they win, first off, they've discovered it's not going to be as simple as they had previously hoped because the cat's out of the bag. I said before, some of the mysteries have come off of this relationship, and they've discovered that when you are with that person that you feel like you really need to be with and you really should be with, sometimes it can feel a little bit awkward, and sometimes you can be a little bit scared, not know if you're going to succeed or not, and just feel like, my gosh, I really have to. I have to succeed. I can't mess this up. But by the same token, without that developed sense of self-trust, that's going to be really challenging. But they kind of can't stay away. They can't stay away because they've got this pull. That's what that devil card is. It's something that controls you, and in this case it's not quite obsessive thinking, because they're doing a good job of avoiding, as far as thinking. Sometimes they're not able to think as much, or they are able to keep themselves from thinking as much about you, but it never quite leaves their intuition. This is something that I'd like to look into a little bit more in the extended. We'll go ahead and do extendeds for these. And it's these two cards playing off one another here. It's kind of a deeper dive on how they're feeling about you, because this speaks to your relationship. And I'm curious to see what comes out as far as that relationship is concerned. We see that there is some indication that they are wanting to call you or to communicate with you. But we also see that there are a lot of other things here that might be holding them back from doing so. So let's take a look at what is likely to, how is this likely to develop? So maybe beyond this point, how is it likely to develop? Those are just a couple of things that we'll look at as we go into the extended. This is a pretty intense situation. So, you guys wanted to know how your person was doing, how they're feeling. Things are a little bit tough for this person. So, if you chose pile one, you've got kind of a tough situation going on here because of that lack of healing and that feeling like they don't quite measure up, and feeling defensive and fear of success. And yeah, let's take a closer look at what's happening with this one as we move into the extended. So if this one did resonate with you, I would just say please like, share, and subscribe, so that we can stay together and I can keep giving you these types of readings. Otherwise, I will see you over in the extended if you are so inclined to go over there. And otherwise, I just say thanks and have a great rest of the day. And now for pile two. So for those of you who chose pile two, that was the one with the clear quartz. And I'm going to be reading for you with the Wheel of Fortune Tarot, and then clarifying with the Revelations Tarot. So if you've been on my channel for a bit, you'll have seen a lot of that Revelations Tarot. And this is the Wheel of Fortune Tarot is another one that you may end up seeing a lot of. So we're looking into what is happening with your person. And kind of a little bit with a focus on you. So right now, though, we're looking at the current energy, just kind of what is the current energy that is happening with your person right now. And right away, we see we're only going to take the top card, unless I'm guided to take more than that. But in this case, we see the Tower. So right off the bat, there's a lot of tumultuous emotional activity going on with your person right now. So this is them being in kind of an interesting place. So we'll learn a little bit more about this when we clarify. But right off at the beginning of our reading, their current energy is going through a tumultuous time. Things are changing with them. Let's see how they are in relation to you. So that's kind of just their current energy right now, but let's see what's happening with you. So what is the energy that is flowing sort of between the two of you? Not necessarily how they feel. We'll do that in a minute. But let's look at the energies that are flowing between the two of you right now. Okay. All right. So we actually have, most of the time I don't take more than one card for this. But I have two cards that really want to come out here. So we have the Six of Wands, which is that feeling of victory after a long battle. And I get the sense it's the feeling of having looked for you for a long time. But then this sort of sense of, okay, now I understand this, but maybe it doesn't fit neatly and easily into my life. That could be part of why we have this tower happening here. Um, I guess we'll look at that a little bit more when we clarify. There's a lot going on, and so the energy that they have with you is, and remember, a lot of you are maybe not in communication or currently in separation, but they have learned something important. Sounds like both of you have learned something important about the nature of this relationship, and maybe it's been a little intense, but it's got a positive side to it. This is the victory after a long battle. You guys looked for each other for a long time, but it's not simple. Something is happening that is making things a little bit more challenging. Let's look at how they feel about you. All right, and if this is a single card, I'll take it. Yeah, so the Hermit. Okay, so jury is out, and not really that they don't know how they feel. They don't know how to feel about you. They have, in fact, this is a searching card. This is a card of searching, but it's also a card of, I like to call it going off in your thinking cave. And basically, I think they felt enough that they are going off to think about this a little bit more. And part of it is a little bit of that edge of a defense mechanism where you use your mind, your brain, to compensate when you feel too much to really understand. So let's look, of course, when we get in a little bit closer and clarify. But right now, that's what I'm getting off of that card so far. Um, if this is how they're feeling about you, and this is the energy that's going between you right now, let's look at the energy of how they feel about the relationship or whatever has transpired between you. Um, how do they feel about your union so far? Three of Cups in the reverse. Okay, so there is some sort of interference here, and it is when I pull a Three of Cups, it doesn't automatically mean that there's a third party. It is a third party, but it's not necessarily a person. This third party could be work. It could be something that they feel very strongly about. But there's a conflict here, and this is part of what's happening here. So they're off in their thinking cave about you. They know that you are like a breath of fresh air. You are the victory after a long fought battle. But now they feel like they know too much, and things are not being simple with their lives, possibly because of that difficult time that they're having navigating that third energy. Um, let's get a better feel here for what they're struggling with. So this is what they're struggling with. We can already see some of what they're struggling with here. They've seen something that's made them uncomfortable here, but they can't look away from it. There's something very uncomfortable happening with this tower here. The tower is many things, and can be many things, but is generally not particularly comfortable. And they've already not been comfortable with this relationship. So, okay, what is this? Something turned over in here. Felt like it was the Lovers card. So this is the Lovers in reverse. The issue they're having is that they don't have a choice about something. They don't have a choice about something. And so we're going to look to see what that really means. So this has to do with their hands being tied. It has something to do with them not having a great time here, but feeling like they have to do this. There's a feeling like they have to do this, and yet they've got a lot of thinking about it that they want to do. I think let's take a look at what's going to happen next. So this is maybe not the what happens at the end and summing everything up, but really just that next thing. And we see the King of Wands in reverse. And so just taking that top card, the King of Wands in reverse, and he's kind of um he's a little bit arrogant. He's a little bit he kind of feels like it's his way or the highway. I hate to use that. I feel like it's overused, but he's got this that feel to him. He's a little bit, things are going to have to go my way, and that's just the way they'll have to be. And that may be part of this tower experience that he's having here, because he's discovering, at least with you, things did not necessarily go his way. He's been put off into, his thinking cave to get a better bead on what's going on here. He's felt like he was put into a situation where he didn't have a choice here. It's with regard to love. There's definitely an interference with the third energy. Could be somebody's relationship or marriage, but it could be that this is somebody that could have just been your friend if there wasn't a relationship to be had. But for some reason, even that feels impossible, and yet they're feeling like you're this breath of fresh air, this victory at the end of a long battle, and they are having a really hard time processing that. So I guess let's get some clarifiers. And like I said, I want to clarify with the Revelations Tarot, and we're going to start here with this Tower card. Why is the Tower here? What is happening in this person's current situation that has the Tower here? Okay, there's one card. And it's a Four of Swords. This is around healing, but it's also around resting. And so I've adjusted my area here so I can put the cards out a little bit more to let them be seen. I like that. And the Hierophant is in reverse. That is an offense to somebody's way that they think that things should go. So it's like their offense to their idea of tradition. So this person is kind of having their mind blown, but there's still this element of resting and healing that's happening here. And it's all coming from this relationship that has happened with you, but there may be other parts of their life that are now reacting to this. And so I've noticed a lot of times in this spread, which I love, there's a lot of interaction between the energy of these cards, of these cards, of these cards. That's just very common. And we see it again here. So we've got the Tower, this situation of tumultuous, emotional sort of upheaval that's happening right now, and there there's this sense of something not really having worked out well with your relationship because of a third energy or a conflicting energy, I guess I could say, um, that's relevant to it. And this is like they're trying to not justify their role in it so much as just reconcile everything that has happened here. And places where things have changed because they've changed as a result of all of the experiences with you. So let's look here now at, this is kind of the energy between the two of you. So this is their energy kind of on their own. Um, and this is their energy more associated with you. So they see you as that victory. They see that there are things that have come to light here. So I guess let's understand that. We've got the Three of Cups. Okay, so this is looking a little bit more like there was a definite conflict with a third energy. And again, it could be a job. It starts to feel more like another relationship, though. Let's get a clarifier for the Six of Wands here. Okay, and here we have the Moon in reverse. I said earlier, and I didn't know exactly why I said it, but I said earlier that they waited a long time, or it took you guys a long time to find each other. And there's this over and over, I get this sense that you're so glad to have been reunited, and that there's been a recognition of this is the person I've been waiting for, which can be kind of disruptive if there's something going on where somebody's already settled into a relationship and then all of a sudden you find out, hold on, maybe this isn't what I'm looking for. Maybe I thought I had made a good decision, but it turns out that I've just figured something out here. So the mystery is starting to unfold. The dust is starting to clear, but it's not necessarily a comfortable place to be. Again, there is discomfort all over this reading, and there is certainly discomfort in the person's current energy. Let's go over to this hermit and get a feel for that. So you've put this person in their thinking cave and you've caused them to reevaluate some things. I'm almost expecting like this hangman to come out because it's got that sort of energy to it, that new perspective feeling. But what do we have here? Well, we have the Queen of Pentacles, which is beautiful. That is actually just a really fabulous energy, and it's what they think of you. You are that warm, fabulous sort of energy that they just really enjoy. And there's a truth that wants to come out here, or that has come out. And it's when it brings up multiple piles like that, I kind of have to take all the cards. So, or at least each of the top cards. So hopefully you guys are able to see all that. But so this is like them gushing about how they feel about you. You know, they've got, you have put them in their thinking cave to help them find that next experience. They're already trying to heal from everything else that is maybe conflicting with what they've discovered when they've discovered you. And that is nothing short of earth shattering. But when they describe you, when they think of you, it's that there's this honesty, spiritual honesty, I guess, is the only way I can think of to describe it, that happens between the two of you, even if you're just playing around, even if you're just having a conversation. And there's something incredibly nurturing about how your souls feel together, and like this sense of recognition, this is the person that I was waiting for. But they really just they feel so they think highly of you. This is somebody who thinks so highly of you, it borders on them thinking they're not quite up to the task. But that's not what sticks out. It's really just that they have such an amazingly high opinion of you. But when we look at the relationship with you, that is more troubled. So we've got this Three of Cups, and it is in the reverse. We see that it is in conflict with something that's happening in their life. Whether it be, I can't get to work on time, that's multiple cards, so I'm not going to take that. Whether it's, I can't, you know, I've got an issue with my job, with my boss, with my wife, with my husband, with whatever, you know, there's something family, there's something here that creates a third energy. It could even be them. They could be generating their own third energy. And we have the King of Swords in reverse. So this is them not doing the sort of thinking that's going to allow them to come up with options. I'll just say that. So it's almost this sort of not closed-minded thinking. It's not that. I don't want to accuse your person of being closed-minded because I don't get the sense that they are, but they're clenching up here a little bit in when they go to make the decision, or when they go to look at what they should do about this situation, and they're not seeing all of the options as a result of the clenching up. Let's see what else we get for them as we, here's another one that wants to turn over. And we have the Two of Wands. Okay, so that's that unwillingness to go to the emotional distance again. And I don't know what the deal is with the Two of Wands here lately. Sometimes it can mean a variety of different things, but what it keeps meaning to me when it pops out here recently is a person who is unwilling to go the emotional distance. And so we have a person who's unwilling to go the emotional distance, and somebody who's unwilling or unable to see the whole big picture. And it's making this experience of the relationship very challenging for them because they recognize you as the person they've been waiting for. They see all of these wonderful qualities in you, but it's causing them a lot of trouble as they try to apply it in their practical lives. And then if we look at them now, just in their current energy, there's certainly a lot of conflict and tumultuous emotion happening there. So again, let's look at this obstacle. So the lovers in reverse is characteristic of there's some sort of star-crossed love or some reason things cannot come together here. Let's take a look at that and we'll clarify. We have okay, the magician in reverse, the hands being tied, not being able to get that manifestation energy together, even though you have this perfection in front of you, or this perfection in front of you, because that's how they're seeing you. That's incredibly complimentary of you. But there's this passion for them to move forward. So the chariot is that intrinsic motivation. It's that energy that comes from inside of you. It's not like the Wheel of Fortune where you are moved by the energy around the Wheel of Fortune. With the chariot, you're kind of creating that impetus. So there's this desire to move forward. Um, it feels like with you, but it feels like they can't. There's something in the way they feel like they can't. It's beyond this. So there's, I mean, when I pulled this card and asked about the obstacle, I mentioned we already had a few obstacles that had shown themselves up here, but this is a different one. This is really a deep down. They truly don't have a choice because of the person that they've allowed themselves to become or the person that they've made themselves. But they've got a desire to move out of that sort of situation, even though they don't necessarily feel like they can. But something is going to happen here because what we see here, kind of this next step, let me scoot this over a little bit. This next step, it's kind of that, it's them lashing out. It's like denial almost. It's got that feeling of almost denial to it where I mean, it's got a little bit of that arrogance, that my way or the highway sort of thing, but it's like they're trying to exert control on a situation because that's the only thing they know how to do. And why would that be? Let's take a look. Well, oh, okay. So let me explain. The Queen of Cups in reverse. So the Queen of Cups in the upright is just the most love. She is unbridled, it just unending love and unconditional ways. It's amazing. It's very much comfortable in that emotional situation. But the Queen of Cups in the reverse is a little out of control. And the way that she feels at this particular time, and that I'm pulling it, it's got this sort of codependency sort of feel to it. So here is your person being triggered to the point that they've become defensive and are there's something happening there as a result of it, and it's also they're being triggered into this codependency sort of situation, and you have to be careful because you too you will be triggered with them. Okay, so the Temperance card in the reverse is that lack of balance that hasn't, so that balance that they really seek, that they would hope comes from you. You're that person that they've been looking for. Right now what you're experiencing is not really that state of balance, and this person is being triggered to to a sense of defensiveness, to a feeling of being out of control, to a feeling of being out of balance. So this is a really challenging time for this person. I'm glad that you guys asked for the reading to focus on them, because as we get a little bit more into them, we start to see maybe why we're seeing some of the behaviors that we're seeing. So again, with a lot of you guys being in separation, maybe you're not seeing as many behaviors, but you may still be sort of feeling the impact of them. And you may even be close enough to one another that you're in communication enough, or in the same spheres, in the same world enough that you're seeing impacts of their actions. So you might realize they've really got something tumultuous going on here. it's about them wanting to heal. It's about them not wanting to see some of the things that they've already seen, but they can't unsee. And this is very much that feeling of I see it and I can't unsee it. That high priestess in reverse, and it's a big conflict because, like I said before, this person felt like they had already made some pretty good decisions about their future, but then they come along, they meet you, there's this recognition, this feeling that you're the one that I've been looking for, and you realize that, you sort of acknowledge it within yourselves. I don't get the sense that there was ever necessarily a strong, true acknowledgement between the two of you, but there was a there was an acknowledgement. And their opinion of you is just amazing. Like, you've had them now have to go off and reevaluate some things because they didn't know that they could feel this way about a person, because they learned more about you and then discovered you were better than they thought. The deeper they dig, the more amazing you become. And there's, like I said, this just feeling of truth that happens as they get to interact with you, or happened as they got to interact with you. But it's not something that is simple. Like, they've got conflict within themselves as well as conflict within their lives, and they're not feeling equipped to address this conflict right now. Um, in addition to that, there's that feeling of I don't have a choice in love. And this is a little bit related to that internal conflict because they feel like they can't, but they want to be able to get out of there. They are aware of this internal conflict that they're having. But that's part of what's going to, I guess, constitute some of these next things that happen, because this is them sort of lashing out at even themselves, at anything that gets close to them, as well as being triggered into codependency and a sense of imbalance. So I think maybe we can look a little bit more into that when we go into the extended for this one, because this is, like I said, that next step, but it doesn't really give us a feel for, and then what? How does that further develop? So we'll look at a sense, or we'll look at how things are going to further develop here. And I think we're also going to look at kind of what is this. There's something complex going on here. So it isn't just a third party sort of energy, it's also an internal energy that has caused this person to balk. And it feels like it's again tied to this. This is all very much tied to each other, but they didn't expect to find you, or didn't expect to have that reaction to you when they did. So we'll look a little bit more into that, kind of what is happening there, particularly the part that is relevant to you. And I think that's what we'll do in the extended. So thank you so much, for coming along with me on this wild ride for pile two. We'll look into it a little bit more in the extended if you're interested in doing so. If not, if this pile resonated with you, if this story resonated with you, I would ask you to just like and share and subscribe, so that we can stay together and I can keep doing these readings for you. Maybe I'll see you over in the extended. If not, have a wonderful day, and I will see you again soon. All right, and now for pile three, and that's pile three with the citrine pointer on top. I'm going to be reading for you with the Alice in Wonderland deck, and then I'm going to clarify with the Good Karma deck. I like the way these two work together. And again, we're looking at sort of what's happening with your person, what's happening on their side. So we have already taken a look, in the previous pick a card reading, at kind of what was happening for lovers in separation. And again, one of the things that came back was, tell me what's happening with them, like what's happening in their life. And so that's what we're going to take a look at today. So looking at kind of what's happening in their current energy, this is going to be about them, just what is happening in their current energy when you peek in on them right now. Dip down into the energy. We have the Seven of Flowers, which is like the Seven of Wands in reverse. And it's this feeling of not feeling confident, trying to figure out how to put it into words. It's this feeling of kind of not feeling confident, not feeling like you have everything you need, but it's more this discombobulated feeling of maybe you feeling like you forgot something, and just this kind of constant feeling of that, I guess, is what I'm getting. We'll see a little bit more when we clarify. And so I want to understand that's just the feeling that's happening with them, that sort of discombobulated feeling. So what is it that's flowing between the two of you right now? Let's look at what sort of energy is flowing between the two of you right now. Remember, I always just take the top card, unless I'm guided to take more than that. And so I see here transformation, but it is in the reverse. And so it's like a transformation that wants to happen but can't. And it's very much like the death card. So in this deck, this is the equivalent of the death card. And the death card is always about something that ends and transforms and is reborn as something different. And so that is something that's not being allowed to happen with the two of you right now, which makes sense if the two of you aren't in very much communication, or maybe you're not in communication at all. That does make some sense. So let's look at how they feel about you. All right, and we got something that turned over here. Okay, we have the Hierophant. Well, so it's too soon to tell before clarifying it, but it seems like there is this. So I'm getting a couple of things off of this card. First of all, they hold you in very high regard and have a lot of respect for you. There is also this sense that they want to make sure that they put their best foot forward for you, but I get the sense that maybe they already haven't, and that's part of what's making this a little bit more difficult. So we'll take a closer look at that once we get into clarify, but I do get this sense like they feel like they wanted to put their best foot forward and they ended up kind of putting their foot in it, so to speak. Let's see how they feel about the union between the two of you, because right now, right, what we're seeing is kind of this feeling that between the two of you, the transformation that needs to take place is not taking place. And we also have this sense from them that they're feeling a little bit discombobulated about things, a little bit unsure. And then over here, we see that they're kind of revering you in some way. So let's take a look at what's happening with their opinion of the relationship between the two of you. So this is suspension, but it's unresolved, and so this is in the reverse. If you have it in the upright, this is again, it's unresolved. This is that finding a new perspective and a new way of looking at things. Here, it hasn't been found yet. It's still trying to figure out which way is up. What are they supposed to be getting out of this? So they haven't quite figured out. It's part of the reason the transformation isn't happening yet. They haven't quite figured out what they're supposed to be doing with this. That's part of the feeling that I get from this card. So let's take a look at what they're struggling with. So this is common that by the point where I'm asking here, with what they're struggling with, we already see that there are some struggles happening. There's a transformation that's supposed to be happening, but isn't. They might be seeing you, putting you up on a pedestal a little bit, whether you are aware of that or not. There's very much a feeling of still having some things to learn here, in this sense of being discombobulated in the present. But sometimes we'll see when we get to this point that more clarity around their obstacles will come out. So let's take a look here and see what's kind of getting in their way. What is creating the obstacles and the okay, so here we have the Eight of Spears, but it's in reverse. And so this is about them coming out of a situation of overthinking. And so this is it's an unsure energy for them, though. So they're refusing to be in the place of overthinking anymore, but they aren't really comfortable in the place where they are. And that's one of the things that is, I almost get the sense like they have had a bit of an awakening. And when you have a little bit of an awakening, you come back a little bit different, but you aren't always sure how to plug yourself back into those things that you've always been a part of. And so for a little while, there's this feeling of this sense of discombobulation and kind of not knowing exactly how you fit in. And I feel like those things are tied for this person. So let's take a look at what's likely to happen here in the near future for you. And again, this is not going to be the long view. This is going to be what you can expect from them in the near future, really. We have the King of Spears. Okay, so this is the King of Spears is like the King of Swords. It's a very logical sort of energy, but it's also um, it's it's orderly. It's not just logical. It's orderly, and things will go in a way that makes the most sense, but they're also going to be really effective. So this is the good side of the King of Spears, and so it's not going to be the overthinking side. It's not going to be the part where he uses his head over his heart. This is a more balanced version, so that's something that you're going to see, which is really fantastic. And I wonder if it starts causing this transformation to happen, or over time is going to help this person if they're feeling just a little discombobulated because they just went through an awakening. They're slightly disoriented, not sure how they plug in, and things are kind of not really landed with how they feel about your relationship. They will see a little bit more about how they feel about you. And actually, let's go ahead and start looking at that now. So again, here's the good karma deck. And we're going to clarify first the Seven of Flowers that's in reverse. So that is a fire energy. That is like the Seven of Wands. And it's in reverse because this is a person who doesn't feel like they're confidently picking their way forward. Here we have the High Priestess. Yeah. So that awakening has taken place, and there are some secrets that have come to them. And they haven't quite figured out, once again, how to plug all that in. They do have some new perspectives, despite the fact that they still have some unfinished business with you as far as figuring out really how does this new perspective impact you, because they really hold you in high reverence. But there's something that never had a chance to happen or hasn't happened. Some of you guys have been in separation for quite some time now, so this one is kind of interesting. So they still are a little bit discombobulated after their awakening, where they've had some mysteries have come to them. Some things have come out. They have a new perspective, maybe just not that one about you yet. So let's take a look at this transformation card. That's like the death card in reverse. So this is something that is, it's the energy between you. And it's something that has not had the opportunity to resolve. And maybe it's getting there. I think we just had two come over. So here's the Justice card in the reverse and the Lovers card in the reverse. I swear I have not seen the Lovers card in reverse come out so much in one day, from so many different decks until today. So here we have the Lovers card in reverse. And once again, it's kind of giving us that I don't have a choice sort of vibe to it. Something isn't right. There's you can say that in the textbook meaning of these cards, there is a relationship and somebody's married. But it is also, not necessarily a very good marriage, not a very good experience. And so, I wanted to be able to show these cards out. So I changed the layout here a little bit so that I would be able to hold these out a little bit. So that way you can see the artwork on the card underneath a little bit better. And I thought that would help us with the continuity of the story and everything. So hopefully you guys will like that. That was just a little bit of feedback that I guess I gave myself. So as we're looking though at this energy between the two of you, remember we've got something that needs to change but isn't changing. And again, I get the sense that maybe it's even been this way for a little while. It's something where you feel like you're not able to do what you want to do. Your hands are tied. There is something that's amiss here, and it could even be an unhappy marriage. Let's get a feel for a little bit of clarification for this Hierophant, which is this incredibly reverent way that they feel about you. And it feels like it plays in a little bit to this awakening that they've had recently and the fact that they aren't quite sure how to plug in anymore because they are different. So they're going to have some different experiences. All right. So we want 2 cards to clarify the Hierophant. And remember, this is in the position of how this person is feeling about you. And it's interesting. Every time I've done this reading, so this is the 3rd pile, I get the sense that it's like it's not just how the person is feeling about you, it's also how they think about you. And so that's just an interesting observation. Sometimes you just get the cups, you just get the emotion, you just get the love, or you find out what is or isn't happening there. But here, there's more to it. Okay, so we've had a couple of cards come out. I always just take the top one unless I feel guided to take more than that. So we have the moon in reverse and we have the Knight of Coins. The Knight of Coins is that slow and steady energy. And I get a little bit of that. One of the things that they revere about you and one of the things that they really appreciate about you is that you are just incredibly genuine. And I guess let me explain. So you are like almost. I expected to almost see the Ace of Swords pop out here because you are this genuine sort of feeling of truth. You are integrity. So this is that slow and steady sort of energy that always gets there. The Knight of Coins always gets there. It's methodical, and it's very slow and steady wins the race, but it's also quite reliable. Then we have the moon in reverse, which is the moon often represents some mystery. And in this case, that's exactly what it represents. But with you being as open as you are, they are sort of in awe of that. That's what I was wondering about. I could see that they really revered you, but I wasn't sure what it was about you that made them so amazed. And it's your ability to always get to the finish line and to do so with the mysteries. You're not trying to keep a bunch of mysteries. You are so genuine. That's part of what they love about you. And it's something that they have not been able to be themselves. And so here with this overthinking and the overturning of that overthinking, I'm just wondering if maybe that's part of what's different about them now. Are they ready to come in and have a little bit of transformation with you? Because right now everything's a little bit locked up because there's that feeling of not having a choice, things not being right, possibly something being interfering with the situation. But if they're different, what does that mean? And what does that mean for them anyway? Because it seems like they're still working through that. So let's look here at this suspension in reverse as well. And so again, remember, this is them not having that new perspective all worked out just yet. And this is how they feel about your relationship. So they are still a little up in the air, if you look at the card, about how they feel about this relationship. They know that they revere you and are amazed. They understand. I see the Wheel of Fortune here in the upright, and that's the universe moving you forward. That's growth happening. They know that that's part of the energy of this relationship, but growth isn't always comfortable. Ha! But, but it's a double whammy. Okay, so check this out. The Wheel of Fortune and the Chariot just came out. So these are impetus that are basically coming from everywhere. The Wheel of Fortune is that impetus that comes from the universe and tells you, you have to move forward. You're moving on to the next step. The Chariot is you moving yourself. It's that feeling of sometimes it comes from this, and I almost get a little bit of this here. Sometimes it comes from the you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here sort of feeling. It's you've got to move, and this is the universe moving you. So this relationship, they sort of can't do much about it as far as slowing it down. But they are aware that it is very much moving them forward. That's how this relationship feels to them. It is an immense piece of their growth. In fact, it may have inspired some of this change here. So Let's take a look at this Eight of Spears in reverse. We have Two of Wands in reverse. What else? Because I think I know what's happening there with that one. This person has gone through a significant change. I'm getting the sense again that there has been a lot of time invested here, a lot of time where maybe you were waiting, but like you left the door open, but you didn't sit there and guard the door. There's been the personal growth on your side as well. And one of the things that I was saying I wanted to do in another reading, oh, I just dropped a couple. One of the things that I was saying I wanted to do in another reading was take a look at what it is that you are here to learn as well. And so this is a little bit complex, but I'm going to go ahead and break this down. So this is your person's obstacle. It's sort of an obstacle. So they've recently had an awakening, which we see here as part of the reason they're a little discombobulated. They're trying to figure out how to plug back in to all of their situations, including you, your relationship, the place where you left it. That when they think about the energy between you is unfinished business and a transformation that hasn't been able to occur. So they now have some different perspectives on this. They've been able to travel the emotional distance that they were previously unable to travel. But they may not have landed where you would expect for them to land. And they may be a little bit overwhelmed by opportunities that they have lost. Um, that's definitely one of the things that I see here. I also see that this is part of what has caused them to miss opportunities in the past. And this is something that has weighed on them. And now as they look at it, that's part of this new perspective that they have. That, it's not just that they're moving in a new direction. They almost have some damage control from things that have gone before. And that includes this relationship where they left things in a place where transformation needed to occur, but it didn't. And so here we see them kind of in that next step. I'm super curious about this. It looks like they are broadening their horizons. This King of Spears is a very balanced King of Spears. That's air energy, it's communication, it's good communication. Is this just one card? Yeah, we'll take it. So we have the Queen of Swords though in the reverse. The Queen of Swords in the reverse is a more receptive energy. This particular Queen of Swords and the way she's feeling right now is pretty much cutting things out. She's very, I'm not going to say defensive, but she is decisive. And so what we're seeing here though with her being in the reverse is that it's more of an accepting energy. So this is part of what we're seeing from your person and what they are hoping that they would also see in you. So they are a little bit nervous about coming forward because of this reverence that they hold you in and the fact that they know they've kind of left things in a way that was a little bit unresolved, I guess is the right word for that. I don't get the sense that there was necessarily a big tumultuous accident or a terrible, relationship that went down in flames. It was more of a situation that was not allowed to properly mature, but it's also giving me the sense that it's been a little while. Might be have been a little while. So both of you have had some time to go through an awakening, to have done some learning. And so focusing on them, I guess it's not surprising that they have. We have the Knight of Wands in reverse. One of the things that you might have noticed about them in the past was that they may have had a tendency to jump headlong into things. And what you may be seeing now is a little bit of reservation because I still get the sense that this is a relatively balanced energy that's coming from them. And that is just kind of amazing because I wonder how they think things should go with you next. Maybe that's what we could look into in the extended because you've got a person who's very discombobulated right now. based on the energy of coming out of a situation that it was overthinking. It was their mental prison that they put themselves in, but they also recognized they did a lot of damage when they were like this. And so now they have this new perspective. They're sort of not sure how to engage with the world, not sure how to engage with things in general. They have this situation with you that feels like unfinished business where they felt like they didn't have a choice. And they felt like things weren't right or weren't attainable. There was something that just kind of was like a barrier for them here. And yet they hold you in such high reverence. They're amazed at your ability to always do, like with the integrity, what you say you're going to do. And you're so genuine. It's something about that just really blows their minds. They have a hard time maintaining that sort of look, and it seems like you do it effortlessly because you're not spending time trying to look a certain way. And so here they're looking at the relationship between you. They know it's a learning experience, and they know they haven't learned everything there is to learn here about this experience. They also are getting a little bit of help from the universe here, so they're moving themselves forward. They're jumping in and engaging it with this new energy of theirs. Because if there's, even though it's a little discombobulated, I don't get the sense that they don't want to move forward anyway. This is something that's a part of them, but maybe now it's a healthier part of them than what we've seen in the past. So they still want to jump in there, and they're getting that boost from the universe. You're going to see some change here, and I think it's going to feed into this what you see next here, with them being here. I'll move those out a little bit, with them being more receptive, more open, more thoughtful. I see like the Knight of Wands almost never comes across as balanced and thoughtful, even in the reverse. And that's very much what's happening here, in this sort of, it's, there's a whole vibe here, and I want to take a look at that when we get into the extended, because they are overcoming a very thorny sort of experience that they've had here, and that has become a part of them. That's what they're coming out of right now. But I guess let's take a closer look when we get to the extended. We'll take a closer look at the very least, I want to look at this new experience that you're going to have with them and how it plays into their perception of you. Like, do they feel like this could, what do they expect to happen going forward? Do they feel like this could be more successful at this time because they have themselves transformed, even though maybe the energy between the two of you hasn't yet? But with this, all of this impetus coming from within and without, are we looking at a situation where maybe there is going to be some of that transformation, or at least an opportunity for it? So, is that part of what's happening? So let's look beyond this. Let's look closer at this, but then let's also look beyond this. So this is maybe our next step, but let's see what's going to maybe develop out of that, and what has to happen to help them get there. So this has been, it feels very enlightened and humbling to be in this energy. I just, every one of them feels a little bit different. Every reading feels a little bit different, but that is, I just want to tell you that's part of what happens in this energy. So, this is amazing. I appreciate the opportunity to share it with you. And I hope you have liked it as well. If you have, like I said before, like, share, subscribe. If you do those things, then you'll see I will respond more to the things that have more likes, and recognize that that's part of the feedback mechanism for you guys to let me know what it is that you want to see more of. So I will, that enables us to stay together and for me to give you that. But so thank you very much for hanging out with me for pile 3. I'm going to go on into the extended now. Hope to see you there. If not, hopefully I'll see you at another reading sometime soon.